G'day, ZiggyD here, and about 20 or so minutes ago, Path of Exile's patch 0.10.2 released, and it has a lot of changes in it. It's a pretty massive patch overall, and I'm going to be breaking it down maybe in a couple of videos over the course of today. But the first change I want to look at is one that I feel like is going to appeal to a lot of people. The Duelist class has seemed very underpowered for a long time, and it's had some pretty cool changes to the passive tree. Overall, I think the Duelist starting area is now very strong, at least in line with the Marauder and Templar. Over time, it will reveal how useful it is actually starting in the Duelist area for various builds. But in this video, I'm going to break down the changes that have happened, and explain, why they're good, and, give some ideas about how the tree sort of pans out now with those changes. So there are a lot of minor changes, and there's about 3 very large changes. First, I'm just going to go over the general changes. Overall, there's been a lot of buffs to just melee damage. Melee damage nodes have been consolidated, and they're increased now. So you've got 10%, 10%, and then this one here with 10% has 12% extra maximum life. Now 12% extra maximum life makes a big deal because it multiplies with all of your percent life nodes. Like if we go down here, 12% max life multiplies that 12 life out, and makes it a lot bigger. So any bonus maximum life nodes in the early parts of the game make a big difference later on. So that's a pretty awesome node. I think any duelist starting melee now has a massive advantage over how they used to be now, just right off the bat. So you've got these pretty awesome melee damage nodes, and you can go through attack speed if you're looking to attack really quickly, and they're okay attack speeds. 4%'s alright, they're worth grabbing if you really want to make an attack speed build. But then we've got these life ones, which there used to be 4 life nodes here in the center, which as you can see have been replaced by mana nodes, and these life nodes have been moved here to the earliest section of the duelist tree, more in line with making a melee duelist. So if you're heading down the melee duelist side of the tree, you're getting these life nodes. Now these life nodes have also been consolidated, so the 1% is still 1%. You've got the 8%, but now there used to be 2 8% nodes, they're now consolidated into 12% nodes. So although less percent life overall, less points needs to go into it, which I think is really important because it allows you to reach better life nodes down the track. Other than that, another sort of minor change that has happened is we've now got these avoid status ailments effects, which are similar to the ones that are over here on the near the ranger side of the tree here. So the Duelist now has access to some of those, which I think is really good for a melee character to have those status, avoid things, since in melee range you're taking a lot more status effects and things like that. However, it's also fairly tied to the bow side of the Duelist tree. So if you plan on making a tanky bow Duelist, which I think is the idea behind a bow Duelist, now you can get these status ailment evade sort of nodes over there, and you can come over here and get these as well as heading into the ranged area. So I think it's much more you have a much stronger bow Duelist now, so that's pretty exciting as well. Another sort of minor change, but fairly interesting, is that berserking has been moved from over here, so in between sort of Duelist and Marauder, to the Duelist area. I think they're really trying to consolidate this idea of Duelist as an attack speed character. So moving this closer to the Duelist area means you have much quicker availability to it. You can head down through here, get Master of the Arena, go through your one-hand damage, get your life, go through, get attack speed, and then you can go whichever direction you want. So that's much quicker to access now, and obviously that's a really good node. Another one was Leather and Steel now has ignore all movement penalties from armor, so that's been consolidated with the Armor Master node. Armor Master has been removed. I believe it was where Berserking is now. So Berserking has been removed from here, and taken over the Armor Master node there. So that's a fairly interesting change. It means if you're making like a evasion-based duelist, or if you just plan on getting iron reflexes, now you're going to have a bit of extra move speed. You can wear heavier armors and things like that. So interesting, but it also means that Armor Master now doesn't really apply to plate users, because you're not going to get Leather and Steel increased evasion rating and armor, sorry, but you're less likely to get it if you're wearing pure plate armor, which has the biggest movement penalty associated with it. So it's an interesting change, and I think changes the the theming of that passive node a little bit by consolidating it with Leather and Steel. In my mind, it makes sense, and it makes the node more interesting as well, which is important. So now let's take a look at the 3 major changes, and they're sort of right here in the middle of the tree. We've got acceleration, mana flows, and Master of the Arena. So as you can see, Master of the Arena and Acceleration have overtaken what used to be a 30 Dex node and a 30 Strength node. So they still have Strength and Dex associated with them, which is important because the class needs to be able to get, you know, increased stats to be able to equip gear and things like that. So 20 Strength and 20 Dexterity is still there. However, Acceleration has been tied with a massive 12% attack speed, so again, really theming the Duelist as an attack speed character. And Master of the Arena is fairly interesting. It's now got 8% melee physical damage, which isn't a big deal, but this completely new stat to the game, 2+ to melee weapon and unarmed range. So what does this actually mean? A lot of people were hypothesizing that it meant that abilities like Cleave and things like that would have an increased based melee range, so anything that you multiplied with it to increase the radius even further would be even better. So people were saying, you know, we're going to have cleaves that go across the screen and sweeps that fill up the entire screen now. That has been confirmed to be untrue on the forums. One of the developers said that this 2+ to melee weapon and unarmed range only works with skills or attacks that don't have an AoE radius to them. So that means cleave, sweep, and any other sort of radius ability like that don't get this bonus to melee weapon and unarmed range. So the way this works is that a one-handed weapon has about a 5 ranges. That's how it's, you know, listed down in the game code. And then a two-handed weapon has about a 7 range. So the increase of Master of the Arena to a one-handed weapon is about the same as making it a two-handed weapon. Now, a lot of you might be saying who have used one-handed and two-handed weapons before, you know, I didn't even know there was a difference between the two. And that's because it is a very small difference. But small differences in range for melee can be very helpful. And, you know, it's a fairly easy node to access and also has some other great stats with it. So it means that, you know, abilities like Frenzy or the base attack of Lightning Strike, and also the calculation of Lightning Strike with Iron Grip, Point Blank, you know, it now has a further sort of range to it. So that's fairly interesting, and, you know, it's a minor sort of change, but it can make melee a lot easier to play, I think. Being able to connect with mobs, you know, without being body blocked and things like that can help a lot. So I think that is definitely a worthwhile node grabbing. It's certainly far more interesting than it used to be. So the third and final big node change is Mana Flows. Mana Flows was already one of the best mana nodes in the game, but now it's really accessible for the Duelist, and it's even better. So we've got 16% increased maximum mana, the 40% mana regeneration rate, which is huge, but also the 10% intelligence. So you know, it's a big help to anyone, you know, having mana problems as a Duelist. Pretty much, if you're not going for a blood magic Duelist, then you should probably be picking up Mana Flows. You know, you have to take 8% mana nodes to get there, but it's really worth those points. So overall, I think these are really impressive changes to the Duelist tree. You know, it's only the very starting area, which is sort of what they said they wanted to change. And I think that's the most important thing. There's more of a reason now to go into the Duelist area. I can see myself as another class, you know, if I'm heading down this way to get Iron Reflex or something like that, dipping into the Duelist area and getting some of the nodes, or even just starting as a Duelist and see what sort of builds I can come up with, you know, that utilize a lot of attack speed. There's a lot of attack speed nodes here now, great mana nodes, and, you know, this interesting sort of 2+ increased melee weapon range. You could even be doing things like making an unarmed character using face breakers and picking up Master of the Arena for the 2+ to unarmed range, so, you know, you can punch things from slightly further away. Pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys you know, have fun playing around with these Duelist changes, and hopefully this breakdown has helped you a little bit. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.